As reported in last week's Ticklist, Robbie Phillips and Alex Moore have repeated Dave MacLeod's super route, the Longhope Direct, an E10 7A on St John's Head on Hoy. Dave climbed the 9-pitch route back in 2011, and it's about as close as you can get to big wall climbing in the UK. Plus, there's a 65-metre pitch of 8B climbing right at the top. Other than the exceptionally hard climbing, the soft, loose rock, huge runouts, and Fulmars that try to vomit on you whilst you're climbing. The original Longhope route was climbed in 1970 as a multi-day undertaking. Ed Drummond spent 7 days climbing the route using a mixture of free climbing and aid. It remained unrepeated for 27 years until John Aaron and Dave Turnbull repeated it free over 4 days, creating a stunning E7 6C. They avoided the final aid section on the headwall, which is now the crux pitch of Longhope Direct E10 7A. Robbie first attempted the route in 2021 with Emma Twyford, but this time drafted in Alex Moore. There was little time to waste once the team arrived on Hoy, and on day one they were working the crux pitch. Any doubts over Alex's ability were quickly quashed when he took a 30-metre fall on a practice lead of the crux pitch on the first day, snapping 2 wires and landing back at the belay. There were about 3 seconds where we stared at each other in total shock, and for a moment I wondered, is it all over? Then we both burst into uncontrollable laughter. This guy was going to be fine, Robbie said. They spent the next week preparing for their ascent, leaving shortly after breakfast and never returning to the vans before 11 p.m. After 2 days of rest, Robbie and Alex planned to go for the final push, but the weather gods weren't happy and they were forced to go straight away after their week of preparation. Spirits were low on the wet walk-in, and they got even lower when the abseil ropes got stuck on the descent. Robbie had to go on a mission to retrieve the ropes, and he got covered in Fulmar vomit in the process. The pair were climbing by 10 a.m, 2 hours later than they planned, and they started off swinging leads. At the ledge, 3/4 of the way up, they were able to compose themselves after sustained fear and anxiety. They eventually arrived at the bottom of the crux pitch late in the day. Robbie said, "Crux 2 was not easy, but I scraped up it anyway. Crux 3 was the hardest, and the main thing guarding the finish line. I focused on leaving nothing on the wall as I had no reserves to make a single mistake. I don't really remember any moment of Crux 3, it was all a blur. Flow state, I guess you'd call it. Grabbing the final jug, I screamed some obscenities in total shock of where I was." Robbie was on the final pitch for some time. It was 9:45 p.m. before he was heading back down the rope to meet Alex at the belay, and that wasn't a formality in itself as it required some tricky rope work. It wasn't possible to strip the gear, so Alex decided to go for it regardless. He topped out a little after 10:30 p.m, elated and exhausted. What an adventure. Don't forget to comment down below to let us know what you think of Robbie and Alex's ascent, and tell us if you've ever been vomited on by a Fulmar. Like and subscribe for more news every week.